Hey everyone, it's the Hey Poopy podcast.
What that booty do from poop to pleasure to health.
Hosted by me, Dave.
And me, Ellen.
Two curious people removing the stigma from your stinker.
And why are we doing this? Because we love laughing and learning about butts and helping them to be the best they can be.
Yes, and on today's episode, we have the wonderful Shayla. Mistress Shayla, I should say. I'm stepping over myself. It's not just Shayla, it's Mistress Shayla.
Yes, Mistress Shayla is not just our first Dom on the podcast, but she's our second Dom who's into hard sports.
Yes.
What are hard sports?
You're going to have to tune in for that. But the term, I mean, I'm sure you can figure it out, but the term is pretty funny to us. And
on a Hey Poopy podcast, you go put two and two together.
Yeah, pretty much. I think you know what it is, but you got to listen to the episode. You can't just give it away. On this episode, we talked about Mistress Shayla's, I guess, poo patrons, if you will. Drive-by poopings, a rage dump on an airplane. And she's actually part of a sex workers coalition. Sort of like getting that whole community together to stand up for rights and just be treated equally and with human dignity and respect.
Yes. Yeah, it was a great interview, and that's the one thing that I do love about our show is we're not about yucking anybody's yum, even if it's not our yum, but we should be curious enough to talk about people and what they do. And Shayla is like some of our other Doms who is just really entering this fantasy world with their clients and helping facilitate the thing that they really want to do and doing it in a loving, caring, wonderful way. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not for me, but, she does it where I think it's ethical, it's fun, and she gets paid. So hits all the marks.
Make that money.
Yeah, ticks all the boxes. So, and you can hear some awesome stuff like this amazing clip you're about to hear.
So normally a brown shower is part of a larger session. I have done drive-by poopings, which is where they just kind of drop in for 20 minutes. I take a shit and then they shower and leave, which is super fun. But I also kind of want to know what the vibe of it's like, oh, do you want a mean poop? Do you want a joyful poop? Do you want a really creative poop? What are we doing today? But a brown shower is always the end of the session because I'm not gonna play with them after they're covered. No. So sometimes it is very now you're gonna serve your ultimate purpose by being my toilet, and sometimes it's I made this for you. Sometimes it gets really mean, and you're shoving it down their throat, and you're like, eat it because it's not good when it's cold.
My God.
Oh yeah, I've had people take it home in Tupperwares.
What?
I had a guy. He was so sweet. So I was fully loaded essentially, and I had taken a shit on him and he was chewing it and he couldn't chew it fast enough, and I had to go again. And so luckily there was a toilet right next to the space where we were sessioning, and so I sat on the toilet and I opened the door and I told him, I have seconds and I have dessert for you and I'm gonna flush it if you don't eat it fast enough. And he was crying but his mouth was full and he's like, oh my goodness. It was amazing. It was really beautiful. We had a good time that day.
And there's plenty more where that came from with this episode. So tune in. You do not want to miss this.
And have you left us a review or a comment on YouTube? You can do it just like this fabulous person. Ruth Ann left us a comment on YouTube that said, one of my earliest memories of pooping is when I was a very small child being potty trained. I had a potty in one of those small plastic toilets, and I remember putting my finger in there and tasting it. I don't remember the flavor. I don't want to. Well, Ruth Ann, thank you so much for sharing that little tidbit ditty with us.
Yeah, a little nugget.
A little nugget, literally a little nugget. Oof. On YouTube, because we understand that some of you do not listen to us on Apple Podcasts, so you can always leave comments and reviews to us on YouTube. And I think that this story on YouTube actually works in really well with this episode.
Oh, yeah. It kind of fits. It's right in the wheelhouse of this episode for sure. Other places besides YouTube, you can actually leave a review or just, you want to say something fun, cool about us. You can go to heypoopypodcast.com. You get all the information you need, and we will read it on the show.
Yes. Now, on to this super funny and fun and informative shit show.
Yes.
Are you soft as a panda, yet strong as a bear?
Bamboo is redefining toilet paper for the future. being more sustainable using bamboo fibers that grow 16 times faster than hardwood.
Bamboo is soft to the touch, yet strong, so you use less TP with each wipe.
Septic safe, unbleached, and unscented for all those delicate parts.
And get 10% off with our promo code HeyPoopy at GoBamboo.com.
Go Bamboo, spelled GOBUMBOO.
We give a shit about our future. You should too with Bamboo.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
I'm just, trying to find a place with like-minded people to talk about like-minded things about me, about poop and stuff.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
Oh man, what's this right here? Is this a podcast about poop?
All right, welcome back on this dump a day.
Hey everybody, it's the Hey Poopy podcast with
Dave
and Ellen. This is episode 136, but it'll always be number 2 to us. And we have an insanely special guest today. A subject matter that I am beyond excited about, but we've had one other guest on who's talked about this, and Dave was visibly sweaty. So
there's a little today, so probably gonna get a little sweaty, but that might not be from the stories. It'll be a mix and match.
But that's a little tease about what's gonna happen with Mistress Shayla.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. This is really exciting. I know nothing other than the name and what you do, but this is going to be a voyage for all of us. It's going to be an
You're going to
experience.
sweat a lot. You're going to sweat a lot.
I'm hot right now, so I've had a really long day already. So I've been up since 7 o'clock. So let's do this.
Shayla, though, before we go into how you are and what you do, we like to go into how you poo. Did you poop today? How you been pooping?
I have not pooped yet today. The last poop I had was actually on an airplane.
Oh.
It was kind of a revenge poop. I was really angry. I had been traveling, and a series of flight cancellations and delays and kind of unforeseen circumstances caused me to be very, very angry at Swiss Airlines. And so as revenge, I took a massive, massive shit on the plane in like the back, because the back of the plane was empty because they're still leaving a lot of empty seats. But like right where the flight attendants were, I was like, yes, this is where I will make my mark.
For a second, I thought you were saying you just took a shit like in that little galley area in the back. I'm like, wow, that's pretty bold.
Yeah. Try to kick me off this plane, motherfuckers.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, the story's great, but
it was fine. I really don't mind pooping in public. For a long time, I kind of exclusively pooped in public, like in public restrooms, and so it's very, very natural and normal. And plus, this was kind of a rage poop, so it felt particularly invigorating.
Right.
I have talked about rage poops before, where like I'm so angry I have to make a massive shit.
Oh yeah. Well, it's actually a thing. There are people who are kind of emotional poopers. Whenever they get angry, whenever they are extremely happy, whenever they are very, very anxious, it causes a nervous system reaction which stimulates your gut, and that can cause some people to have to poop.
Well, now we know why I have had my angry poops.
I'm just more relieved when I take a shit.
Oh yeah.
Like,
what about before?
I be honest, I can't think of a time where I have a rage shit. I mean, I've never like been angry. I mean, it's like a general baseline for the day. But yeah, usually I feel better after I take a shit. So, we'll see.
Dave, how have you been pooping?
I pooped okay today. I pooped like the last 3 days have been a little crazy with work. So I've been going to bed really late and getting up really early. And I don't remember if I took a shit today or not. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. And God, it was like really early this morning too. But yeah, I think it was probably my usual 5. I just remember sitting on the bowl being like, today, I was like going through my phone of all the things that my to-do list. So I wasn't paying attention to the shit, more just like what I have to do for today.
Yeah.
For the shit show. That is Tuesday. But yeah, it was fine. It was, I've only pooped once today. So
I was going to say, you want to bend over and I can ask your butthole if you pooped today?
He's sleeping. He's taking a nap.
I woke up early today too, pooped kind of right after my coffee, and which is apropos of to most people who coffee poop works together. And then I like got off the bowl, walked around, and I was like, I think I gotta go again. And just like went back and nothing was happening. And I was like, okay, Belly, you gotta make up your motherfucking mind.
Yeah.
And nothing happened. So I got on with my day. And then like maybe an hour ago, I had another significant, they were all like Bristol 4.5s, a little bit loosey, but nothing like crazy. But at least I've pooped twice today. I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's good.
If I could do 3, I'd be happy.
The day is still young.
Yeah.
You still have a lot of day left.
Yes. Mistress Shayla, tell us about yourself besides your poo.
I am Mistress Shayla Lang. I am a pro-Domme and kink educator, and I own a commercial dungeon and film studio here in Brooklyn.
Fuck yeah.
Cool. Nice.
What's your studio dungeon's name?
Shayla, CHEZ-LA.
Cool.
Which makes everybody groan once they say it out loud or like see it written on paper and it finally clicks. About 30% are like, oh, that's cute, and don't really understand it till they say it out loud. They're like, oh, it's just your fucking name.
Got it. Nice. How long have you been operating that for now?
This is about 1.5 years.
Cool.
Yeah, I had one I opened the first one basically March 1st of last year, which is arguably the worst time to open up a dungeon. Yeah. Well, we did okay. The community really came together, and I ended up being able to move to with the commercial rents dropping, I was able to move to a nicer space, and that has been really, really, really wonderful. I finally have a bathroom. I didn't have a bathroom in the other space.
That's key.
Yeah, it's very, very important to have a bathroom, especially with a shower for the kind of work that I do.
Yes.
So it worked out pretty well.
I was just about to say,
awesome.
Who needs a bathroom when you're toilet training?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we're going to find out why that bathroom is most needed.
There's another
a little tease, right?
Yeah. And how long have you been domming for?
I've been doing it professionally for about 6 years.
Amazing. That's so awesome.
Cool.
I love all my sex working friends. They're all the best people in the world.
Sex workers are superheroes.
They fucking are.
There's an article this morning about how dominatrixes across the country are encouraging people to get vaccinated and telling their long-term regular clients who are maybe on the fence or maybe anti-vax that they will no longer see them unless they get vaccinated, and that has resulted in a number of people getting vaccinated.
Yes.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah.
It takes a village.
So,
I heard that Sarah Huckabee Sanders just came out with calling it the Trump vax.
Amazing.
And I was like, whatever you fucking have to call it
Whatever
to
it
get
takes.
needles in arms, I don't give a fuck. I mean, she's the worst piece of shit ever. But if it helps get those ding-dongs vaccinated, I don't give
Part
a
of me,
fuck.
I mean, without me getting sick or people I love getting sick, part of me kind of like people that aren't vaccinated that are just one of these idiots. I'm like, yeah, you can just die.
Absolutely.
Like, I really don't care. Like, I'm like, if I get like really sick, I'm like, yeah, that's really.
I completely agree. I think it's
But
modern
it's just
Darwinism.
They just happen to be around like everybody else. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
No, I think it's modern. Oh my god.
Modern Darwinism.
Yes, modern Darwinism.
Yeah, thinning of the herd.
Yeah. Survival of the fittest who are vaccinated.
It's a little bit different because I'm a huge proponent of modern Darwinism. I come from Texas, and so where the hobbies there are like getting smashed and riding in the back of a truck and stealing a four-wheeler, like this, that, and the other, just very, very dangerous activities that people do for shits and giggles. And so if somebody falls into a ditch and dies because they're being stupid, then that is like modern Darwinism.
Yes.
But the problem is those people, instead of like getting on four-wheelers and killing themselves, they're like killing everybody else.
Yes.
Which is really annoying.
No, it's
And
true. It's
making us go back into lockdown and ruining our careers.
It's rude.
And,
it's super rude.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I remember listening to one of those. Just comedian Bill Hicks, who I love, who used to say like, you can put like the worst band like in a room full of like a mountain full of cocaine. They come out alive, and then like all your heroes die. You're like, these are the assholes that just keep somehow living, and you're like, what? Like nothing kills them.
Yeah, the cockroaches.
But this is not a show about COVID.
Yes.
And vaccinations.
Even though it's affected our life for the past 1.5 years. But so Shayla, besides being an incredible dom, we have you on the show because you are known for something very particular that you do.
Yes, I am known for water sports and hard sports. Hard sports meaning
hard
poop.
sports. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on where on the scale it falls.
Right,
Sometimes it also might
right.
be water sports.
It just cracks me up. Hard sports.
Yeah. And well, some people shy away from the term scat or scat play. And so hard sports is a little easier to digest.
Gotcha. Is that kind of a newer term?
Not necessarily. It's been around at least as long as I've been around, but I also haven't been around that long.
Oh, okay.
So also it bypasses like porn filters and ad filters. So if I write scat on an Instagram post, they're going to take it down.
Right.
If I write hard sports, it's, the people who are in the know
Right.
about it. And
That's
the people
a t-shirt
who don't.
right there. Hard sports.
No, we should do
Oh my
it.
God, it is so funny.
We could do a crossover with Shayla.
Hard sports.
Hard sports with Mistress Shayla.
Oh, that's too funny.
The only if you listen to this episode, do you know what we're talking about?
Yeah.
And so how did you get into hard sports?
I was working at a commercial dungeon, and it was like my first or second day there, and a woman had invited you. When you started a commercial dungeon, you kind of shadow other sessions that are happening to see what's going on, and there's not a lot of real training, but you're mostly just observing. And so this woman had asked me if I wanted to watch her shit on a client, and I said, yeah, sure, that sounds weird. And so I watched her do it, and then both of them kind of looked at me expectingly and said, do you want to do it? And I said, oh, I could probably do this, I think. Like, that is fine. And I squeezed out one teeny tiny little rabbit poop, and it was exhilarating, obviously,
right.
because I had done it. I felt really good about it, because I don't think most people are just kind of demanded to like poop right then and there. It's like, take a shit right now. And it's like, ooh. But so then after that, he had left, and she and I were cleaning up the dungeon room, and she looked at me. I'll never forget this. She had a cigarette hanging out of her mouth, and she was kind of lounging on there's a big bondage table there. She was kind of lounging on it, and she goes, honey, if you want to make real money in here, you got to start doing the gross shit. And so then I started doing the gross shit, and it's super fun, and I think it's funny. I think it's a pretty extreme exchange of power, and it also gets weirdly psychological in a lot of ways. And so figuring out exactly why somebody craves some sort of scat play is really interesting to kind of break apart that puzzle and see what's.
That's super interesting to me. I'm always like, when you get to that level, you're like, I need someone to shit on me. Like, they need it. Like they
it's like a
compulsion. Like they would call for broken glass to do it. Like, that's what I'm like.
Tell us, what is that? What have they told you?
So there's a lot of reasons why somebody might be into this. The first is arguably it's like super taboo. This is not something you like talk about with your buddies, and the taboo is what really turns people on. This is dirty. This is private, and that is a huge turn on for a lot of people. It's also very like intimate. When you're taking a shit, you're very vulnerable. And when you're underneath someone who is taking a shit, you are also very vulnerable. And that sort of being vulnerable in the same place creates a real feeling of intimacy and closeness for a lot of people. And so that's a more worshipful context. Like, I worship you so much that I'm willing to take the worst things that come out of you and put it into my own body. And that's a really beautiful exchange. And then there's a lot of other things. There's the people who do it as an act of service, like the toilet is probably the most important thing in most people's homes, and so
100%.
For someone to serve as a toilet means that they want to be useful, they want to please somebody. And then some people are just shit eaters, like they just foot guys. Something is the wires are mixed and they just love it, they need it, they want it, and I really like those dudes.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast a while ago talking about fetishes, and that most fetishes are the stuff that the brain is telling you no, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And so even if it's feet because it's dirty or whatever, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum by saying like, there's the normal person, the abnormal person. It's like everybody's got their own thing.
Oh yeah.
But poop is the only one that out of the fetishes where I'm just like,
that's way the fuck out there. I'm sorry. Like,
it's just that you can get sick from it.
You can.
Yeah.
So, have you had clients get sick?
I have not had any report back to me that they've gotten sick. When I teach my classes, I always say, these are the worst things that can happen. And you can get very sick from it. You can get all of the hepatitises. You can COVID is transferable through this. You can get like syphilis, gonorrhea, HIV. That can all be passed through. So you really kind of need to be on top of your own shits. Like if there is any sort of blood in your shit, then your client shouldn't be eating it. But sometimes they really just want to roll around in it or like smear it on their bodies, and that's pretty safe, surprisingly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, like on average, supposedly we're touching shit all day long.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've just like come in here and just spread shit all over your apartment by riding the subway. Like that's a whole thing that happened.
You want some hand sanitizer?
I sat on this seat. I need like a hazmat suit to ride the subway, and so it's. I mean, living here, we are all arguably shit fetishists. So,
well, tell the audience what happened to you on the way over here.
I was coming up the stairs of the subway, and I noticed this really kind of strong smell, and I was like, oh no, like, and the subway kind of always smells like human waste, but I was coming up the stairs and I just noticed this enormous pile of shit, and it looked like somebody had sort of aimed for the wall, which doesn't make any sense because the wall will not hold it. And it had kind of dripped down the wall and just congealed into a pile. It's very, very hot right now, and so it has sort of melted into
kind
a
of
pile.
Pudding-like consistency.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it didn't look super fresh, but
no, it
not
was
super
a couple hours
old either.
Old. Yeah.
It looked like a bad baking experiment. That's just like someone's first pass at some kind of like treat.
But how apropos that you literally on the way over here saw human shit.
Oh yeah. Oh, I took it as a sign.
Yes. I mean, to anybody else in the entire United States, the world, they might be like, that might be bad luck. But to this show and to your profession, it's a good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it could be viewed in one of two ways. I mean, there's no gray area with that.
No,
it's either going to be awesome or it's going to be really bad.
As long as you don't touch it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was on the wall because whoever did need to go that badly probably was just leaned up against the wall. No?
Yeah. Put a cheek up against the wall and it just like, ugh.
I feel like I've seen more people try to shit on the walls in the stairwell. Like every time I've seen somebody shit in the subway, it's always been in the stairs kind of close to the wall, and I don't understand why such a high traffic area is like the most convenient place to take a shit for most people. I would assume like a corner or like kind of into I have shit into a trash can on the subway before. I just hopped up there and like dropped trow and went to town.
Bless you.
I figured that was like the least obnoxious way of doing this.
No, completely. I mean,
at least it went to some kind of receptacle.
Yeah. We have the question floor or pants, but then there's the third answer, trash can. So
trash can. I mean, you could do it in a plastic bag,
which is like a trash can.
Yeah. I mean, some kind of like something that's not the floor. It's not your pants, not the toilet. So it's like a in between, but that's cool. You did that. I mean,
so tell us that story. Like, what did you just had to go super bad?
Yeah, it was late at night, and I was waiting on a train, and there was nobody else on the platform. And I said, fuck this. I really, really have to go. And so I just hopped up, and they're kind of high, so it was kind of a maneuver to crawl up there. I like threw one leg over the top and sort of straddled the thing like I was mounting a horse. That's exactly what it was like. and then I wiggled out of my pants and took a shit and then just pulled it up and then walked to the other side of the platform so no one would know what had just happened.
Yeah.
How did you wipe?
I didn't. That was the problem. And I was wearing a thong, so I guess the thong kind of absorbed most of it, but it went directly in the trash when I got home.
Yeah, that you can't save that.
Yeah.
That thong barely hanging on.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's pretty good. I've heard other stories about people shitting in the subway, actually in a train, but not like in a can. That's pretty good.
We've even had guests who like helped friends in that like the stair passageway to the next, like it happens. I mean, as we know that I think there's a mind-body connection, and we know that from this pacemaker Exonics, like there literally is a mind-body connection, and sometimes when you gotta go so badly, you don't have a choice, know?
Yeah.
And sometimes I think coming up the stairs, you're getting close to home and your body's just like, wait, nope, it's going to happen. This is where it's happening.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Woo. But let's get back to your career. And so you teach classes to do this. I have a friend, I think, who took your class.
Oh, the water sports one.
Oh, did Majesty May took that one?
Oh, I don't know, because I did do before COVID a monthly water sports / hard sports workshop at a dungeon here in Brooklyn, and then I also am the co-head mistress of a kind of a marathon series called 7 Days of Domination, which is we it started in the beginning of COVID because we wanted to hire our friends, wanted to make sure that they got paid a little bit. And it became so popular that now we just hire different pro-doms across the country and across the world to teach a subject on, or teach a class on anything that they want. And they get kind of deep into random BDSM subjects, which is really made for a fascinating and interesting series of classes because it really shows you a lot about them as a person, but also an explanation of like theories and technique that you might not otherwise have seen in your like Kink 101 or your like porn classes or viewings or whatever. And so that's been really fun. And so
where do people access these classes?
They're online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're online. Cool. And we're launching they were live events through Eventbrite, and we're going to continue the live events, but we'll be launching a subscription model where you can get all of our classes in one place.
Amazing. It's like cool. A master class of BDSM.
It is.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, to back up a little bit, the hard sports, water sports, hard sports class, is there someone in there you're shitting on as a demo?
No. So in the water sports, hard sports class, these are so much fun. I love these so much. There is not a hard sports demo, but there is always a water sports demo. Okay. And the way that the class works is we have submissives who either have never done this before or are kind of want to try it but also don't want to pay for a full-on session. Gotcha. And then we also have these baby doms who are brand new to the scene and they don't really know safety, they don't know technique, they don't know how to prep, and also they may or may not have given one of these before. So it's a really perfect combination of really eager bottoms and tops who are, it's kind of a low stress environment because if they can't do it, there's another, 6 women who are like, yeah, I can do that. Let's do this. Let's try it. Mm-hmm. And everybody's together and it's a very like supportive kumbaya moment with just like gallons and gallons of piss on the floor. And it's super, super fun because we, without fail, at least 2 like baby pro-doms give their first golden shower, and I just feel like a proud mama bird the whole time. And they're just like, sometimes I'll be like holding their hand and talking to them and they'll be like, oh my God, I'm doing it. And so it's really fun.
Aww.
It's really fun. Yeah.
I also love how the Domming community has become more embracing of mentors and mentorees. Because when we had Mistress Natalie Page on, she was like, in the beginning, the older Doms were just mean to her and they were just like, go in there and figure it out kind of thing. And so it's so nice that you guys have a better community, which just probably makes you all stronger anyway.
Absolutely. And because there's enough perverts in the world to spend money on everybody. So, I mean, I don't have any competition, but also no other Dom in New York has competition because there is someone out there for everybody. And also, I mean, there's really no shortage of like kinky freaks in this city. And so it works out pretty well for everybody. There's enough for everyone to eat. And there always will be. There always will be. And so, but it was the same. I started, when I was 18, I started in the strip club, and it was very, very similar to that. Like, you don't really have a community. You might have 1 or 2 friends that you work with, but everybody is kind of competing against each other. And it's a very sort of tense dressing room experience in a lot of the clubs.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so it's very sink or swim. It's very feast or famine. And that luckily is less the case with the New York Dom community, significantly less so.
Nice.
I also think it's something that's been set up for decades, if not centuries, with the patriarchy of basically making sure that women pit themselves against each other.
Oh, absolutely.
And now we're realizing that if we actually join forces, we could take over the patriarchy. So, yeah, there's this great book called The Beauty Myth that's pretty much all about that, and not about doming, but about how men have pretty much figured out a way to get us for cheaper in corporate America by like fucking with our beauty standards. And if you're not young and pretty and wearing a skirt and wearing the right makeup and you have your hair done, so, and it's like, fuck you all, like we're gonna do this better together.
Absolutely. I think it also doesn't help that most of the strip clubs, the massage parlors, the commercial dungeons, etc., are owned by men.
Yes.
And with the patriarchy, men have easier access to capital and to investments. And so they can do these things, and then they hire women off the street or off Craigslist or wherever. And we don't have, until we pool together our resources, we're not able to get to that point.
Yes.
If we've seen anything from I don't know much about the larger community, but I know for a fact that here there are quite a few pro-doms who are kind of banding together, pooling their resources and building these beautiful, beautiful spaces for themselves and for the community.
That's amazing.
And I feel really proud of them for that.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Can only take over the world when you have an army.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then when you did your first little raisinette on that first go, how did you then find tips to figure out how to make more, or I know you have a master class in this. Give our audience just a few tips of like how you got to this place.
It started very kind of haphazardly, and where the first time I was booked for a brown shower session, because somebody always has to tell you in advance because you have to prep for it. My idea of preparation was just don't shit for 3 days. Ooh. And that way I know I'll have one.
Yeah.
Like, it will be fine. That is deeply uncomfortable.
Yes.
And if you're going to do that, the trick is to do squats to get the farts out, because then you stop feeling the poop. Like, the uncomfortable is the air in your body.
Oh.
And yeah, so that helps. But after, it's not
It's a long
healthy.
time.
It's not healthy to do it because
Yeah.
your colon continues to suck moisture out of it. And so it can make it,
Get
force you.
constipated.
Yeah, you'll get very constipated. And so that obviously was not going to work long term. And so I started keeping a food log. And so if I ate something when I pooped it out, or when I pooped something out, was really, really helpful. And I sort of settled on my specific poop routine, which is a cup of blackberries and a box of Crown Fried Chicken.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what?
Specifically Crown Fried Chicken.
Oh yeah,
I like
no,
it.
the KFC won't work, the Popeyes won't work. It has to be Crown Fried
Wow.
Chicken.
And so
Something in
what's
the oil.
your
Yeah. Oh yeah.
what's your timeline on that?
About 12 hours.
Wow. That's so cool.
I can see it though, because like greasy food rips through me pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like
Between that and the
destroys my
blackberries,
stomach. Yeah.
it's the fiber and the oil really make for a kind of a comfortable ride down the chute. And so it works out pretty good. Also, I've had a client before that I would shit on regularly. Once I had finally settled on my blackberries and fried chicken, he told me that he goes, "Did you change something?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Are you eating differently?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Something is sweet in this." And I was like, "Oh, blackberries?" And he could taste the blackberries in
Wow.
it. So I think that's
True
kind of
connoisseur.
Nice. Yeah.
But also, if it's only like the average gut digests between 24 to 48 hours. So the fact that you have a 12-hour window means you're digesting it much faster. So
Oh, yeah.
that's it. So those foods aren't fully digested anyway. So that's probably why it tastes that way.
Yeah, almost certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so, I mean, every Dom's gut has to be different.
Yeah,
Do you tell them to experiment with logging?
definitely. I find that the food log is not the fastest, because it does take several months to kind of figure out what your rhythm is and what your routine is. But I always tell them to do that if they don't already know, because most of the time you kind of know what's going to make you shit. And I'd say most people who are like lactose intolerant, or even just a little bit, will be like, "Oh yeah, no problem. I'll chug a gallon of milk and in 45 minutes I'll be ready to go."
Wow.
I have a question. So your blackberry fried chicken, what on the Bristol stool chart is it?
Like a between a 4 and a 5 most of the time.
That's
yeah,
great.
the sweet spot.
Yeah, great consistency.
Yeah.
So
I'm
when
really
you're
pleased with it.
doing all this, are you like, not to give out any trade secrets or anything, but are you like, I mean, I guess it depends on the person that you're with,
Yeah.
but are you like just like, eat this shit, motherfucker, or is it like,
Yeah,
or is it-
sometimes.
okay, or is
Oh,
it like,
yeah.
I was like, "Hey, how's it going? Let's take a shit on you today." Like,
Well, so normally
How
a
are
brown
things?
shower is part of a larger session.
That's what
I have done drive-by poopings, which is where they just kind of drop in for 20 minutes. I take a shit and then they shower and leave, which is super fun. But I also kind of want to know what the vibe of like what they desire, like I guess the type of poop they would like. It's like, oh, do you want a mean poop? Do you want a joyful poop? Like, do you want a really creative poop? Like, what are we doing today? And the session guys will be there for like an hour or 2 or 6 or whatever. But a brown shower is always the end of the session, because I'm not gonna play with them after they're covered.
No.
There's
Oh.
just no way. And so it's always at the end, and it depends on how our session has gone. So sometimes it is very like, now you're gonna serve your ultimate purpose by being my toilet, and sometimes it's, I made this for you. Like, do you want a snack? And so yeah, and then sometimes
I'm
it
like,
gets
I'm
really
good.
mean,
I
and
ate
you're like
before I got
shoving
here.
it down their throat, and you're like, eat it because it's not good when it's cold.
Oh my
And-
God.
Oh yeah, I've had people take it home in Tupperwares.
What?
I had a guy. He was so sweet. He was such a sweet baby angel. It was just after the holidays, so I was like fully loaded essentially, and I had taken a shit on him, and he was chewing it, and he couldn't chew it fast enough, and I had to go again. And so luckily there was a toilet right next to the space where we were sessioning, So I sat on the toilet and I opened the door and I told him, I said, I have seconds and I have dessert for you and I'm gonna flush it if you don't eat it fast enough. And he was crying, but his mouth was full and he's like,
Oh my
goodness. It was amazing. It was really beautiful. We had a good time that day.
I have so much.
That is wow. That's I mean, not again. No. Look, no offense to your.
Do you want to try it?
No. to your clientele and everything, but I am, knock on wood, that's not a thing like that's ever crossed my mind. Like eating. That's a hard one. It's
considered kind of the Mount Everest of kink for a reason. And you'd be surprised. I mean, never say never. Because
I'm pretty sure I'm going to say never. I'm 100%. I mean, if I ever did that, then I lost some huge bet, or someone's going to be like, I'll give you $1 million to eat some shit. I'm like,
that's fair.
Make it 2.
That's fair. And
you would do it for $2 million?
I mean, I don't know. I just said that off a whim. I got to think about it. I mean, it might be more than that.
You would do it. I feel like everybody would do it.
$2 million
$2 million
untaxed,
is a significant amount
taxes,
of money.
Just like bam, straight to the bank account.
And they're not that big. You know, they're just like, a couple of inches long, like not that big around. It's fine.
Eat it, it'd be like way more than that.
Well,
like someone just shat on me. I mean, I'd take it for 2. I'll take one for the team for $2 mil.
For a poop on your chest versus eating it.
Eating it, I can't even think of a number right now, but it's going to be a big number because I have to move.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm winning the lottery just to see this shit.
After that, you'll never see me again.
Okay, I have a couple questions. One, go back to the drive-by pooping. How is that? Like, is it just toilet training? Is it a Tupperware? Is it like...
It depends on the person.
Like, you don't have to tell me exactly your prices, but like, do these drive-by guys get a deal? Like, how...
It depends. It depends on the person, and it also depends on the drive-by. Like, if I'm putting it in like a freezer bag and delivering it to somebody, like we meet at Penn Station and there's just a handoff, it's not that expensive. But if they're coming to my dungeon for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, it gets a little, I mean, it's the same rates as my full sessions. And then I also tack on $100 brown shower tax because there is a little bit more prep involved. Mm-hmm. And so that's always been kind of my jam.
I mean, fried chicken and blackberries don't pay for themselves.
They don't. I was so mad about it because the bodega by my house always carries blackberries, and they've just, in the winter, they have slowly risen in price. And I was so mad about paying $7 for these just garbage blackberries and just tiny little amount. And I'm like, oh God, I have to up my brown shower rates now because that's the only time I eat blackberries. Is when I need to prep.
I love blackberries. I'm going to look totally different now. Oh man, I put this in my smoothie.
I get so many with my CSA, like buckets full. I have to call you to the point where like I have to freeze them.
Amazing.
So when I get them, it's usually in a couple weeks. I will totally call you and just I will donate them.
Oh my God, please.
Yes.
Wow. I love this.
Yeah.
Oof.
And then my other thing is we had this guest on, Matt Frazier, who he still said he was going to find it for us, but somebody made a kind of like
short,
based on true story movie of a guy who would collect people's shit, stick it in the freezer, then put a condom on it and fuck themselves in the ass with their own poop.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was in England somewhere.
Yeah. Amazing.
And just to throw out some ideas.
Well, I've heard a client had told me one time that he, who is a shit eater, he had told me that he was sessioning with another dom who had forced him to eat her shit, and then when he couldn't eat all of it, she like kind of scooped up the remains and flung them in a condom and did the exact same thing. Wow. So I mean, I can't imagine how it'd be if it was like frozen. That feels a little like firm to me. I mean, some people really like hard butthole toys. Yeah. And it's just also like, I don't know, warm poop going back in. Like, I feel like poop is one way. Poop is one way. And
yeah, I don't want it anywhere near me. When you're saying like a joyful shit or angry, I'm like, that's all angry to me. Like any kind of shit is like, woo. Like, especially when it's like near someone else, you're like, oh my God. But yeah, that's pretty hardcore.
Do your clients have Human Centipede fantasies?
I don't know. I should ask. I've actually never seen that movie.
Me either. I just too much for me.
Yeah, I don't really do the gore.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to see this.
But I'm curious if any of them were like, I saw this movie and
I'll have to ask them, because when did that came out? Like what,
a while
10 years ago?
at least.
Years ago?
Yeah.
And so no one's brought it up. But also the Human Centipede, I haven't seen it, but it doesn't feel like a very sexy and exciting movie. I mean, it's exciting, I'm sure, but not very sexy. And I imagine that the clients don't really want to be surgically attached to my butthole. A lot of them have expressed desire to kind of replace the toilet in my own bathroom and be like, I just want to be your toilet and I want to serve you forever whenever you need me. But that like doesn't meet municipal building codes. And so that's not going to work
Where's
so
all the
well.
pipes go? Like,
well, eventually they also have to shit.
Oh yeah, Adult Protective Services really doesn't like it when you control someone else's bathroom habits and also only feed them the secondhand nutrition.
Yeah.
So it's not
Also,
feasible.
it's like, I know in the Dom community, you can sometimes use the word slave. That's literally enslaving someone.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gross. That's
my
crazy.
God.
That is interesting.
But
I'm just taking this all in.
Yeah.
It's
You look
really-
like you're just processing.
Well, no, I mean it's not even like shocking. I mean, because like after this many episodes, but it's just like the actual process, the cleanup, everything. I'm like, this is gonna cost you, buddy.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this is like not, it's not a normal day at the office. It was
But so when you pooped on the plane recently or poop anytime in a toilet, do you feel like you're wasting?
In the beginning I did, but now I kind of feel like it's nice to shit off the clock. I know a lot of people like to shit on the clock, but I also don't get paid a salary. So if I shit on the clock, then I'm just like wasting my own time. And so, but it's also kind of nice to not be constrained to a schedule. Like I can have my own joyful poops like anytime that I want. And that's nice. It's like kind of some me time. It's some self-care.
Or just go into the bathroom, like, I just go to the bathroom. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing
if there's
more,
I don't
less.
have to wear the heels. I don't have to wear the corset. I have like shitting in a corset is the worst thing.
Yes.
It is the most annoying thing in the world.
Of course.
Oh man. But so like waking up in the morning and just, sliding off my sweatpants and just kind of going to town. And my partner's out of town right now and will be for the next few weeks. And so I've been shitting with the door open and like the breeze kind of rolling through my apartment. And that has been glorious.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, it's been so good.
I have to shit with the door open because I have pets and they get very mad when I shut the door on them.
Oh, no.
They all have to be in there with me.
Well, they have to make sure that you're safe.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always so surprised. Like literally, I'll try to shut the door and the dog will come like plowing in. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, so annoying.
Speaking of, so you have a partner. Obviously, they know what you do. Are they also into the kink stuff, or are they just kind of like?
Yes, and also no. He's definitely nowhere near as extreme as most of my clients. But I would also argue that most kinky people are not into kind of extreme sports like the heavy masochism or the hard sports or things like that. Most kinky people are may have tendencies, but they're not like full on into the lifestyle like that. He is a little bit kinky, and we do kind of sometimes I like bring a little bit of my work home, but he is unfortunately not into eating shit, or he doesn't even like to be like, I'm pooping with the door open, and he hates that. Like I told him that I was doing it, and he goes, oh, I know that I'm like not even there right now, but it still makes me uncomfortable, the thought of. He's also like what the Germans call a Heimscheißer, which means someone who can only poop at home. And so like public bathrooms or airplanes or whatever, it makes him so anxious that it just scares the poop right back in, and he can't do it.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
You're more like that, right? What's the German saying again?
Heimscheißer.
Heimscheißer. That's another T-shirt.
It all depends on like the circumstance, because sometimes like if you're on a really long flight and you're like, I cannot hold this anymore.
Oh yeah.
Like but yeah, I mean I'd rather just go to home. Because who doesn't?
It's comfortable.
I mean, home turf, you're just like, oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my bowels don't, there's no rhyme or reason. Like, I literally will wake up in the morning sometimes, drink my coffee, not make a poop, and the minute I get out to my errands, every Home Depot, Lowe's, grocery store, Target, I'm dumping in. And I'm like, what the fuck is up with my stomach?
I don't know. I mean, it's all circumstantial for me. Usually it's like, for the most part, I can wait till I get home, but if it's like, when I was younger, I would just be in pain. just when I got home. But now I'm like, whatever, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But it really, I mean, it's all depends on the place too. If it's like a really disgusting bathroom, I'm just like, fuck it, I'll just wait to the next spot or go home.
Yeah. I just made a huge dump over the weekend at Coney Island in the public bathrooms there. I was hovering, I refused to touch this toilet. And it was so crowded in there. And there was a guy in a wheelchair. Mind you, it's a women's bathroom, but there was a guy in a wheelchair who obviously had a lot of mental problems, and the woman was like, I just have to leave you for a second so I could pee. She went into the stall and he was screaming, and so I'm literally hovering trying to shit while this man is screaming. I was like, this is a horror movie.
Oh no.
At least he wasn't in the room with you.
No. Well, he would have been screaming at a whole nother picture.
Yeah, pretty much.
What a mess.
Yeah. That sounds like a mess.
So is there any other tips or tricks, or like, even how does a client come to you finding out that you do hard sports, or like what have you had a first time client and was like, I think I'm into this, but I haven't done it before? Like how do you bridge that?
So somebody who's brand new to this, people typically don't just enter the kink scene being like, all I want to do is eat poop. This is more kind of a gradual thing where they think they're into it, because there is also still kind of a level of stigma and shame around it, since it is dirty, since it is dangerous, since it is taboo. A lot of people are like, what's wrong with me? And so seeing a professional is often not the first thing that they dabble in kink wise for this type of thing. And so I do see a lot of like first time scat dudes, and a surprising amount of them are very young. Like, I don't have any in between clients. My clients are either like 22 or like 102. That's it. There's no in between.
Wow.
And so
it's a pretty big range.
Yeah. And so they're very young most of the time. They've never done this before, and they want to know if I work with newbies, and I do a lot of I do a little bit of, it's kind of woo-woo, but I do a little bit of like guided meditation with them to get them comfortable and relaxed and able to do this. And we also do a lot of work, kind of emotional work surrounding their motivations. So by the time it gets down to the final act, like they're begging for it because we've hit the right sequence of buttons.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's very loving.
I love doing it, and I also really love helping people do pervert shit. Like, it's why I get up in the morning. Like, getting people to do weird shit for mine and their amusement it's really fulfilling for me. And so this happens to be a niche that like a lot of doms don't offer hard sports. And so this is something that I offer, and it is something that like a niche that I can fill, and I also really enjoy it, and I also really enjoy the people that enjoy it, because they're a little bit different from the guys who want like a spanking and a hand job, and these dudes are like hard in the paint. They're like, I want to eat your shit, like please help me. And so, which is really fun to do.
But a spanking and a hand job, just go to an escort.
Well, that's what I tell them. And I don't see
get
those.
That in the street.
Yeah.
Like escort. Like,
or Tinder.
Go down the street and get that like quick.
Yeah. I've worked in some dungeons where most of the clientele was like, oh, but like you'll give me manual release, right? And I was like, no, you can do that. I'll give you the spanking. That's fine. But like, you're not paying me very much. Like, this is a commercial dungeon. Like, I'm not doing this. So, and no shame to people who do give hand jobs. Like, that is valid, and there is room for that in sex work and in professional BDSM. There's absolutely room for that. I feel like a lot of times we try to differentiate between like the full service workers and the doms, and it's like it's more of a spectrum.
Yes,
I am not someone who gives a spanking or hand jobs, but I will like shit in your mouth and like force it down, and like that feels okay to me. Whereas other people are like, no, don't, I'm not taking my panties off or anything, but I will give you a hand job. Like, everybody's got different boundaries.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
Different lanes. Should we, unless you have something else to add, we go to some questions?
Yeah, and do you have any? I mean, just our standard questions are like,
what you kind of answered a bunch of them.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I imagine so. I mean,
our standard questions are: what brand of toilet paper do you use, and do you put it on the roll over or under?
Over, always under. People who put it under are psychopaths. And yep.
I mean,
Oh no, are you an under person?
Well, I mean, for this show I am, but I don't really care. But yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I would look at a person eating shit as a psychopath.
Oh, totally.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think someone who likes to toilet paper under versus someone who eats shit. I mean, that's not even the same planet. But
Hey, we're not yucking anybody's yum
But
here.
how do we
I
feel
am.
about the kind of toilet paper holders that are just like stuck on the wall and they're shaped sort of like an L, where the toilet paper is like
like
vertical?
sideways?
Like that bothers me more than the under.
Yeah.
Like tremendously so.
Or just the
Well, that one's just 'cause
assholes
it
who
keeps
can't.
spinning. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
you
it
can't
just
get it
keeps
sometimes. It
moving.
keeps spinning, and you're
I
like,
feel like
you
I'm
never
a
get
cat
you never
just
get a good grip.
Swatting at
Yeah.
it and
If I see somebody with the empty roll and then they've undone the toilet paper from wherever and just put it on the back of the tank,
oh no.
those are the people I think are savages. Like, I'm just like, really? Do you know how long it takes you to change the roll? Like, probably 20 seconds.
I'm gonna take that over eating shit. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Sorry. Call me crazy.
And then, like, as a child, what were your you didn't answer brand of toilet paper besides a human tongue.
Yeah, I'm kind of partial to Charmin, although
Okay.
at this point I kind of buy whatever's at the bodega.
Right.
But if I have a choice, it's most of the time it's Charmin.
Cool.
So yeah.
Nice.
And what about any childhood memories or like poops, farts, anything? Like, I'm wondering what got you to this area besides like wanting to be a dom and then realizing you had the power to poop. Like, can you see like a trajectory? Like, I know my trajectory on how I became an erotic photographer. So
my only real like poop memory that I can remember was like second grade, and I had to poop. I was sitting in my second grade class. It was just before recess, and I really had to poop, and I could not wait. And so I thought, oh, I'll just poop in my pants, and that's fine because they're jeans and it will hold everything. And, you know, how old are you in second grade? Like 6 or 7, something
Around
like
that,
that.
yeah.
I was unaware of like fluid dynamics and also fabric dynamics. And so I didn't realize that it would just kind of soak in and create a giant stain on the back. I was like, oh, this is warm and squishy, but it's fine because, you know, I'm going to go to recess and then I'll get to play on the playground. Yeah, it's fine. And so I start running around the playground, and one of the teachers kind of like grabbed me and was like, we need to talk about this.
Aww.
And so, yeah, that's the day that I learned that fabric is not, or blue jean fabric that's made for second graders is not kind of all purpose and containing.
Definitely not. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Now if I'm gonna shit my pants, I would probably do it in like a pair of latex pants because it's like a glad bag.
yeah.
It's great. It just holds
hose it off,
everything and
pretty much.
yeah, throw it in the bathtub, you're fine.
Yeah.
Or in a
Just
diaper.
wash that stuff off.
Yeah, in a diaper. That's something I haven't done in a long time. I occasionally do that for clients that happened a lot during COVID, where I would shit in a diaper and then I would mail it to them. And that was really fun because they would always just film themselves doing gross things to the diaper. And that was a really fun time, actually. Yeah, that was really nice. We had a good time doing that.
Funny.
I'm trying to think with any other, like, I feel like you've hit anything. Is there anything you want to bring to, like, tips or tricks or anything that, like, you want to bring to the conversation that we're leaving out?
I would say if this is something that interests you and you want to start doing it with a partner, finding before, obviously talking to them about being super honest with them about your motivations and your desires for this and why you would want to do this. Coming at it from a place of, I want to feel vulnerable, I want to feel degraded, I want to feel warm and mushy, whatever. When bringing that to your partner can help them say yes because they are a little more understanding of why, rather than being like, I don't want to do that, that sounds weird. And then once you're actually there, to kind of go super slow, because it's very, very visceral. It's very, very emotional sometimes. And also, it's not something you can really safe word out of. And like once the train leaves the station,
Exactly.
you're fucked. And
You're like, sorry, buddy, this is happening now.
Yeah, that's a thing. And also just, if you're going to do this, just like play it safe, play it cool. Communicate, beat that horse until it's dead and then beat it again. But it can be really fun and it can be really like almost wholesome in a way. And yeah, I really love it.
I feel like the way you're approaching it sounds very loving and wholesome. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great segue into our other segment called Shitty Choices.
Shitty choices.
And you get 2 choices. They're both horrible. And I mean, you're used to this. This is like you're probably like this is. I mean, like
I did listen to a couple of episodes of the podcast before coming here,
Good.
so
you're prepared.
I'm
you're
prepared.
prepped. But this is like so like probably tame. So you can fart for 1 hour straight per day. So every day you're farting for 1 hour. Time it doesn't really matter. Just at some point you're gonna be farting for an hour straight. Or you can only listen. The only music, song, etc. you can listen to is Conga by Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine forever. Like people will be like, "Hey, did you get that new whatever album?" You're like, "No, I don't know what that is." You're like, "Have you heard Conga by?"
I mean,
Gloria
to be fair, into it, like super into it. However, oh yeah, that is really fun. I actually that might be kind of joyful, but it would definitely be the farting for sure.
Yes.
I mean, easily, hands down, because I would make so much fucking money.
Yes.
It is that's the one thing I cannot control is my farts. And people ask me all the time, do you offer a fart session? And I said, no, I like cannot control
so
it.
This is
This
portfolio thing for you.
Enthusiastic, yes. Like,
Okay.
give it to me. Is this an option? Can I purchase this? Is like an add-on, like DLC for life in general?
Sure.
Wait.
In this particular scenario world, yeah.
Wait, we need to rewind then. Like, tell us about, like, is there a word for hard sports? Is there a fart sports? Like,
No,
Air
most
sports?
Most
Air
people,
sports?
yeah. Oh, air sports is good. No, people mostly just say farting because that doesn't quite trigger people's sort of like porn dar on like. I love this. Yeah, no, it doesn't really trigger things. And so plus farts are fairly innocent. Farts are also not illegal. It's not illegal to fart on somebody for money. And so, I mean, I guess it depends on whether or not you're wearing clothes, but that also varies state to state.
and we've done news articles where people have farted on cops and got arrested.
Amazing.
Yeah, so yes, it can be illegal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depends on the state, and it also depends on the cop. They'll arrest you for anything.
Oh, well,
Like,
yeah, because they're dicks.
and some of these farts are definitely disturbing the peace. So
Yeah.
that's just kind of
For
where
sure.
we're at.
Okay, so your team fart.
Also, I have some tips for you to maybe, like, have you tried Jerusalem chokes?
No.
Okay, we have to talk after this. I went on a podcast with Dave a couple months ago, and they wanted me to fart in their face, and I ate a bunch of stuff, and I was ready to go.
That's amazing.
So I'll give you some of my tips.
Oh my God, please.
Yeah.
One thing that what some people do recommend is like getting one of those like baby snot suckers
yeah.
and like pushing air into your rectum. But that's not, I mean, it's not super dangerous, but it's also less than healthy.
Yeah.
And it also makes kind of, they really want an organic fart rather than like a prepared fart.
Yeah, and it probably doesn't have the same smell.
It doesn't, because it's
Yeah.
not in there as long, so it
Yeah.
doesn't just stew.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
What about you? Are we Gloria Stefan or farting?
I mean, I don't think I could handle this. I think either one, I would go insane. Like for the rest of my life, you're just like, I can only listen to Conga by like people have talked about new bands. You're like, I don't know what that is, man. My only reference is this song. So I'd probably go with the farts just so I could hear other music.
Well, you could probably schedule it to where it's like when you're asleep when you
in,
need
in
it.
In my scenario, the fart thing could happen it could be like you're like on a date, and then it's like 1 hour of just straight farting.
See. I was about to say you could just use that to get out of jury duty. It would be.
No, you don't know when it's coming. That's what makes it even harder because you're like, you could be like, you could be at a wake,
yeah,
and it's just like. You're like, shit. And it could be loud, silent, smelly. I mean, it's a whole mixed bag.
I have anxiety belly. On most of my shoots, I am farting like crazy because my belly just like this poop gets sucked in and farts keep sneaking out. So the farting thing at a wake, like if I'm like depressed and anxiety ridden, I probably will be farting like
for
crazy.
1 hour straight. It was every day. I would go
You
crazy.
have to come to one of my photo shoots and just realize that my gut is fucked.
Okay, so your gut. I'm just saying, in this world, this scenario, 60 minutes of constant farting, not like. I mean, like one just.
Yes, I have been there
for an hour straight.
Yes,
there's no. Okay.
Into
I think you do fart a lot. I'm just saying an hour, 1 hour straight. Like when you hear this. But now, 1 hour every day.
You could use it for evil, arguably.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
you clear a
clearly.
subway
You
car, you
figure out
get
a
on
way
a
to do
jury
something with
duty, you like, people spend money on it, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think
For 1 hour,
Yeah.
I'd go. Either choice is horrible. You'd go insane.
I'd be fine.
I used
Get in
to
a
say
swimming
that.
pool and become a really fast swimmer, just like.
I think you're underestimating the amount of annoyance. Like after like 30 years, you're like, or 20 years, you're like, oh my god, again with this.
as long as it's not a shirt. And I used to work for Friendly's when I was 18, and I fucking hated that job so much that I would eat foods that I know would make me really gassy, because the other waitresses would spit in people's food. I would just fart on people.
Amazing.
And it made me feel powerful. So yes.
Okay.
I would take that choice in a
I
heartbeat.
mean, they're awful. I just want to listen to good music, so I couldn't listen to Gloria Stefan Conga.
Which is
the
a
rest of
great
my life.
song,
It's-
but
yeah,
not.
it's a
It's good
banger.
once or twice.
Yeah.
Like every, for the rest of your life, you'd go insane.
Yes.
You'd be like committed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do some news. The headline for this article: Man erects poop wall after property dispute with neighbor.
What?
So this happened in, I thought it was originally his own poop, which I was like, that's impressive. But no, it wasn't. It was like some cow manure. This guy in Michigan got into a huge debate about property lines. So the neighbor's like, well, fuck you. He just took all his cow manure and erected this giant shit wall
That's amazing.
in between just to tell him to fuck off. And quote, it's just a pile of shit over there. So yeah, these two people were complaining about property rights and property lines, and this guy's just like, well, this is what's happening now because you're an asshole.
What state was this in?
In Michigan.
Oh.
Is there a photo?
I mean, it's like a kind of crappy photo. It's not that
my
great.
Well, I mean, any photo of it would be a crappy
photo. The photo. I mean, like,
Dun-dun-dun.
stylistically and composition, it was pretty shitty. It's just like a giant like barrier of
see.
poop.
Oh, yeah, that's not great.
Yeah.
I want to
I was
see
in
an
a hurry when I
actual-
took the picture, but it's just like a trench.
Wow.
Like when they should have, the word wall was, I think, the wrong choice of words. It was more like a trench or like a slight embankment of shit.
Bank.
Yeah, but
A
yeah,
moat?
the whole like this guy was like saying like the whole like upstairs their house you can smell it like from like all over the place. So
Wow.
Well, it does, after some time, it does dry out. I mean, it's annoying, but it does dry out. What I would be more concerned about is like the bottom of it generating heat, because as it ferments, it generates so much heat.
Yep.
There's that fancy restaurant upstate that bakes their pizzas.
Stone Barn?
Yeah.
or is this it's called the one
It's-
that's like got the restaurant here?
It's like Blue Stone
yeah,
or
something-
something.
Stone
Blue Hill.
Barn.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
what are you talking about?
it's the exact same one, and they like cook their pizzas in like basically like a manure
Methane?
oven. Yeah.
awesome.
Field trip.
That place is really expensive, but really good. We went to the one they had their New York City version. I don't know if it's still here anymore after COVID, but Irving Plaza area. God, what's that crazy chef's name too? But anyway, yes, yeah. So poop wall,
I
crazy
love
shit.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, fuck this. I'm just gonna make it out of cow shit.
It would have been so much better if it had been like his shit. Like that really says
Well, that
something.
would have been impressive.
Yes,
That would've
that
been-
really sends a statement.
I would have been like, wow, that's wall. I mean, at first you're like, that's disgusting, but that's all your own shit. Wow, we get to study you, buddy.
When you first said the wall of shit, I thought it was human. Then I went to dog.
No, cow
Ooh.
manure.
Then cows. I was
It's like basically it's a farm
Yeah.
area, so that kind of makes more sense. They can probably collect a lot more. I
Still,
guess
I feel like
bricks, quote unquote.
he's missing
For the
an
wall.
opportunity.
Yeah. Well, with that ridiculous story, Shayla, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was great. You were wonderful, and please tell our audience where they can find you, or if you're looking to be found.
You can find me. All of my social media is under the same thing. All my Instagram, my Twitter, my Fat Life is at yes Miss Shayla. That's SHAYLA. And then you can also find my website at www.mistressshayla.ch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then you can find all of the projects that we're working on, the 7 Days of Domination and my other classes. Those are on Instagram. It's at 7 Days of Domination.
Cool.
Perfect. Awesome.
And they will all be listed in the show notes.
Yes, for sure. Thanks again, and thanks for laughing and learning everything but with us.
And happy pooping, everybody, and enjoy your butthole.
Hey Poopy Podcast is brought to you by Perfect 4 Entertainment, produced by Dave and Ellen, with executive producer Stormy Leather, edited by me, Dave.
For more information, go to heypoopypodcast.com for episodes, merch, and more. Follow us on Instagram at heypoopypodcast and Twitter at heypoopy. Theme song by Jordan Perlson. Hey Poopy.